mean, it is a remarkable story, actually, because it's always said in it, if you read any catalogue that's been written in the last 100 years, they all bewail the fact that there are no objects available out there anymore, and it's impossible to collect, in a serious way, since all the great objects were snaffled up by museums in the late 19th century or other private collections. But it's not the case. The development of the Wyvern Collection is absolute proof of that, because it's been built up in the last 25 years, just over 25 years, nearly 30 years. And of course, the pieces that we're going to look at today are pieces, just a small selection, a tiny selection that the owner has bought from the Samfold Gallery. But in a sense, they give a clear idea of the range of the collection and its importance too. This is the very first object that's going to be in the next volume of the Wyvern Collection catalogues. It's what's known as a Chrismatory, because it held the oils connected with baptism originally. And the reason we know that, apart from its small size, which is common to Chrismatories, is because on the top there's a little band with an inscription that says Cap Bap, which is an abbreviation for Capsella Baptismalis, which means box for baptism. And what was inside it originally, or what was inside it at the time that inscription was put on, were the oils connected with baptism, and this would have been carried in order to allow the priest to baptize, or abbot to baptize people who are coming into the Christian faith. And this is a very early piece. It was described by Leslie Webster, a great Anglo-Saxon specialist, formerly of the British Museum, who published this in a wonderful article in 2014, as probably the most important Anglo-Saxon ecclesiastical object to appear on the market in the last 60 years. And it certainly is that. She very cleverly demonstrated that the main body of the casket, which is made of gilt copper panels attached to a wooden core, you can see the wooden core there, these were quite clearly made by an Anglo-Saxon artist around the year 800, and show the four evangelists sitting writing or otherwise with their open books. And one of them, this one here, second from left, is different from the others. He has little beads at the top of his halo, and he's being pointed to by this figure of the triumphant Christ who's on the lid, who's pointing to him with his staff directly to this particular figure. And the reason why he's giving emphasis to this figure is because this figure must be St. John the Evangelist, who mentions Christ repeatedly in his Gospels. So we have a clear preference, if you like, for St. John the Evangelist. Christ, again, is holding a book as well, so it's emphasizing the importance of the Christian written word, the New Testament exemplar, which you would expect somebody coming into the Christian faith being baptized to embrace. It's a wonderful object. On the other side, it has these strange quadrupeds, possibly deer, sort of hybrid deer figures, and wonderful spreading foliate shoots above. And then we have a winged creature on this end, and on that end as well, but a missing piece there. This piece, as I said, was made mostly in around the year 800. But it's been very cleverly demonstrated that this top ridge bar at the top is slightly different. It's made from a different metal, and it has a slightly different technique. And the suggestion, very plausible suggestion, is that this was added a little bit later in the late 9th century, possibly by a French craftsman, indicating that at an early date, this object had found its way to France. It may well either have been made in an Anglo-Saxon context, in a monastery, and sent to France, or it might have been made in an Anglo-Saxon foundation abroad, of which there are a good number. Backing this up is the fact that the very first mention of this object is indicated by a parchment inscription that was found inside the casket, which was dated 1801 and indicated that the casket at that time was in Moissac in southern France, with the great abbey, which has all those wonderful Romanesque sculptures in the cloister and on the portal. And this is further confirmed by a reference, an enigmatic reference in the 17th century, an inventory which refers to a pyramidal reliquary shrine of this particular type, which may or may not be this particular piece, but it's very plausible. So all in all, what we have here is an absolutely wonderful survival in pretty good condition as well, that's been very carefully looked at in the laboratories of the British Museum, and they've looked at how it was made, how it relates to other Anglo-Saxon pieces, and it fits perfectly with some of the best known late 8th century Anglo-Saxon goldsmiths' work in various places. At a later date, it was converted, after it had started its life as a chrismatory, it was converted into a reliquary, and the inside was gouged out, probably for the placing of relics inside, and a little hole was made in the bottom, which probably had a little metal door, so you could access, take out or put in further relics, which is a rather interesting feature. Again, it shows how through the centuries the function of such pieces often changed.